What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of the Don't Stop Podcast, a special edition. As you can see, Oliver and I are together in Tokyo during peak cherry blossom season. Oliver just had a game last night in Tokyo, and I happened to be close by, so we thought it'd be awesome to film an episode together, right?
Yep.
So this episode, we got a special topic for you. The topic is going to be top advice that we would give our younger selves, or how we would coach our younger selves if we were able to kind of go back in time. So having kicked that off, Oliver, why don't you let the people know how you're doing?
I'm doing all right in Japan. First time in Tokyo, so it's pretty nice out here. Cherry blossom season, so pretty trees, pretty leaves, all kinds of colors. We found a little spot here, so just cool, and get into it.
Let's get into it. So, top advice that we would give our younger self. Why don't you just rattle off a couple of things that how you would guide your younger self?
I would say a lot of things you have to go through to realize you weren't doing it the best way. I think that goes with most things, whether that's in the weight room, on the court, training methods. So it's not that I regret anything, because you had to go through it to get to where you are today, and all of that made me, learning how to do things better is what got me to where I am now, trying to share it to everyone. So I don't regret anything, but I would say if I were to kind of mentor my younger self, one of the biggest things first is mentality and just being patient. I was a late bloomer. I remember I was 13, 14, almost 15, haven't really hit my growth spurt. I know any kids hearing this, you're going to think about, am I going to grow? How tall am I going to be? Because that's actually a huge topic in itself. People are always curious how tall I am, or, when did you grow? I sometimes get these questions from kids who haven't grown. But about height, I think that's something out of your control for the most part. And so you just have to be patient. For me, I think when you're going through stuff, having a mentor, someone who's been through those situations that you really respect, admire or inspire to be, I think you should just reach out, because I get messages all the time, and then when I see it, I do my best to reply and try to give my 2 cents, and people are actually quite keen to help. Even that's how me and Josh met, actually. I reached out to Josh, and then he replied, and then that's how our relationship started, basically. And so I think number one tip is, if you're the kid right now, you don't know what you don't know, so you kind of want to find someone who might know or knows more, and then try to form a relationship or reach out. I think that would be my first tip or advice, is to try to get connected to a potentially good mentor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe my first tip would be to not specialize too early in any sport. I think what I see a lot in today's society is, a kid chooses basketball and they go to these pro camps, or they go to these, everything is basketball year round. And so if you're in that elementary school range, I think it's really important to be a generalist. You should be trying to expand your overall athleticism, play soccer, play basketball, swim, go outside, do gymnastics. I think it's way too early to just be choosing a sport. I mean, of course, it's there's some unique scenarios. I know Tiger Woods started golf when he was 3, but there's a good book called Range that talks about this as well, the importance of just being a generalist early on before you specialize. And I think the main reason for that is, one is love for the game. If you want to be good at basketball or good at anything, you gotta love what you gotta love what you're doing, have joy, because that's gonna propel you to work really hard, to keep thinking about it, to find
over the long run too.
Yeah, in the long term. And so many players I come across they're still in their 20s, but I can just tell they're completely burnt out from basketball, because I know they started specialization from 6 years old, 8 years old. They're already, playing basketball year round. By the time you're 20, that's a good amount of basketball you've been playing for a while. So don't specialize too early. I would say maybe 12, 13, or 6th to 8th grade, when you've decided that you really love something, then you can maybe start really going all out.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about the European NBA players, they all play soccer, football.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the main sport in Europe. And I personally, swam growing up. I did ice skating. I did speed skating.
Nice.
I played a little bit of soccer, but not
ice
really.
Skating in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I just did whatever my older brother did, because he was 4 years older, so whatever he did, I kind of followed. And then when he stopped speed skating, ice skating, I stopped as well. I played a lot of basketball, obviously. Would you have any recommendations for certain sports that would help? Like, what would you say is?
I mean, volleyball. Volleyball gives you crazy bounce. Like,
2 foot.
Yeah, just being able to 2 foot or that penultimate step.
Yeah.
I think soccer. I played soccer growing up. I thought that gave me really good just balance. We played a lot of barefoot, but in low top cleats too. I just felt like that gave me the edge when playing defense. And then also just playing a lot of sports, I think, helps with injury prevention. Obviously, like some injuries are just freak injuries, but I do think recently, like we've been seeing all-time highs in ACL tears, just stuff that shouldn't be happening with 9th or 10th graders. And I think it's today's like AU culture is just basketball year round. Like the kids never get any rest. And if you're constantly year round doing the exact same movements over and over again for years on end, and basketball is like very force dominant, right? You're jumping, you're being explosive, changing directions hard. It's easy to get injuries.
I think that's also part of the social media culture, because parents, unless you've heard some of this advice or heard from someone telling you this, when you see a kid, parents are always comparing, like kids their age, they're
FOMO,
like,
they got FOMO
what's that kid doing? Or similar age. And so when the other kid is maybe at that age, say 8, 9, 10, 11, really good at basketball, they're like, all right, my kid needs to do basketball lessons every day, and then that's if you don't know any better. So hopefully from sharing this, some parents, some kids might be inspired to realize it's okay to, even if basketball is your main sport and that's what you want to be the best at, in the future, you don't play basketball every day right now. You dabble in other sports. You might even have a day where you don't touch a basketball, which is like, for me, it's tough to do. But yeah, I think it's all for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, just think about a lot of the great athletes. Michael Jordan played baseball. Allen Iverson was an amazing football player.
Anthony Edwards, football as well.
Kobe Bryant played soccer. LeBron James was also a very well-known football player as well. And I think that's just a super important quality. Also, I think it makes you a better athlete. If you're always playing basketball, you're always going to be in a certain position and certain things are going to get tight and whatnot. But if you're able to play other sports, I feel like your overall capacity to do more athletic movements is just, you got like a bigger,
wider bank.
A wider bank, and I just think it'll make you better in basketball. Also, just if you're always in basketball, your thought, the way you think is just how your team thinks or everyone around you is a basketball. But I think there's a lot of value in learning from other sports too, because other sports might be more advanced in certain things like strategies, maybe training, maybe nutrition, maybe something, I don't know, like maybe you go to a different sports team and they're like super advanced in something else that you can learn from.
Yeah, on that note, that made me think of even footwork for defense. I was studying one of the best soccer players. I guess you could call him the Drew Holiday of soccer. His name, I think, Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
The YouTube videos.
Yeah. Amazing defender, and he'll forget what they call it. I think it's called a jockey step, where that's actually the term, because after posting content, there's soccer players, they'll be like, oh, I do that. Or, football, DBs or what's the CB? A cornerback, maybe? Yeah. They'll be like, I've been doing that since whatever, because I used to play football growing up. So, like, seeing comments like that, you heard football players, they don't play much basketball, but because of their skill set that they develop from football, then they go play basketball. They naturally have different footwork strategies that just naturally happen. And Drew Holiday actually played a lot of football before as well.
Yeah.
And so, like American football. And so I think if you're a kid, and from a parent's perspective, some parents are afraid of injury, of course, and too much contact. I know American tackle football is like, if you're Asian kid, sometimes, you're just worried about it. And so I think flag football is actually great as well. Like for what we're talking about, you can work on change of direction, just different things. And so flag football is another one that's a growing sport recently that I think if I were to go back in time, I'd probably try to do some of that. I think it would help my change of direction, agility, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think from a parental perspective, I think parents also they're afraid their kids gonna get left behind. So if they see the other kids or other parents putting them in camps and stuff, they're like, no, I need to do that too. Or kids feel the same thing, right? Yeah. So I think most important, is it's where you finish. And I know I just want to encourage, because I talk with a lot of parents all the time.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of my kids, like the day they finish their basketball season, the next week they're already in AAU. No break at all.
Or in like 2 days.
Yeah, and I think that's crazy. And some parents ask me, which I think is a good question, they're like, should we play AAU this season? Should I give him time to like rest? And it's going to be very case dependent, right? Like, are you a 10th grader going into your most important year for recruiting? Yeah, no, don't skip it. You know what I mean? But if you've already been doing it for a long time, or, you know, you've been playing basketball for a long time and you need a break. I mean, these are just all important considerations to be thinking about. Yeah,
in
talk about
school,
training.
In training, basketball training, I wish I did more live reps type stuff, because when I went to the States for summer camps, like the first summer in 8th grade going into 9th, I like had this notebook. I wrote out every single drill. Like I had stickman like passing like 10 times, you know, every single drill. And then those are all group camps.
Yeah.
So I guess by that nature, there's less live reps, or those are just the drills.
Why don't you define live reps so people know what you're talking about?
Live reps is just, you know, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and then sometimes you set certain constraints to develop something you're after. So maybe it's in a pick and roll, or you start in a DHO, dribble handoff.
Anything with defense.
Anything with a real defender, you're basically competing 1-on-1.
Versus maybe like
doing cone
just
stuff,
doing dribbling in place and cone.
Those were the drills I was exposed to. I had no concept of training and, you know, different things you can do. So that's just what I repeated, because it helped me. So I was like, I'm keep doing this. And so when I got to college was when I got exposed to, you know, different more drills, competing and stuff. And so I think if I did more of that in high school, it probably would have helped.
Yeah.
But then again, if I was playing a lot of games, I was getting reps and I was playing a lot of minutes. So it's not like I wasn't getting live reps in the games. It was just, I think my training could have been better.
But in a game, you're not getting live reps in every single scenario.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Situations that you could have potentially weren't good at.
Yeah.
So for example, like a side pick and roll, maybe in a game you only get two live reps. So that's not like a ton of live reps. So stuff that you weren't good at, or getting trapped or something like that, you could have done more of. Yeah, I definitely agree with the training aspect. You know, if I were to give advice for myself or a younger kid, is trying to find someone very like-minded as you, who's like invested in training, or a group of kids that you can kind of push yourself. I think if you get 2 or 3 teammates who are willing to go to the park, like if you say you guys don't have the resources to hire a trainer, or you guys live in an area where no trainer exists, just having 2 or 3 kids and being able to recreate some of those scenarios and just talk about it, explore, be like, no, like, wait, why did that move work? Like, what did you do here? What were you seeing? Just having like a conversation. I think early on as a kid, if I could go back and talk to myself, I always wanted like the answer. Like, oh, coach, this situation, what should I do? Or like, I saw this math problem I struggle with. Like, what's the best way to do this? And I think what I really regret about my childhood is not learning how to learn or problem solve. It was just, I don't know if it was upbringing or schooling. It was just taught to achieve, get the result, just get the answer.
But that doesn't work as well in sports.
It doesn't.
So
I would have, if you guys have access to a couple teammates, there's just so much content online too that you guys consume and think about. Just think about your own games and what situations you struggle with and how to recreate some of those scenarios and train against each other a lot. And I definitely, like, if I were to do team selection type of stuff, or if I were a parent now putting my kid through an environment, a lot of kids, they either go 2 ways. They either put their kid on a team where they're like the middle, the worst guy, but they're on a really good team, you know what I mean? Like, or they're like, should we go here or should we go here? Where he's gonna be the best player and he's gonna get all the minutes and all the possessions. And I think that there's valid points in both, and I think it just depends on, ideally you would get some of both. Because say you go to the really good team
and you need to learn,
and you get no reps.
You gotta adapt.
It's good because you play against a lot of people who are really good and you realize that there's levels to this and then you need to get better, but you get no reps. But then you go to the other team, you get a ton of reps, but then you're the best guy and you're never challenged, right? So ideally, you're getting a mixture of both. So if I'm the best guy on this team, I'm gonna look for other opportunities where I'm not the best guy. Maybe some tournament or some special camp or something like that, or training where I'm not the best and I get challenged. But if I'm the worst guy on a really good team, I'm looking for opportunities where I can get reps and live reps. So this is applicable to people who are playing high school basketball. If you're the main guy on your high school basketball team and you're getting all the reps, maybe you should look for somewhere AAU where you're not the main guy. But now if you're on a really good basketball team and you get no reps, you should be looking for, this is my personal advice, looking for an AU team where you can get some reps to make up for the season.
And keep getting better.
Yeah.
And on that note, I just thought of defense and how you're talking about reps, but that's more being on the floor and more offensive reps, you could say. But defense, you might not be able to touch the ball, but if you're deep, like full court defense, you're causing havoc, you're creating pressure, like coach will still play you. And if you're playing with 4 other really talented players, you might not touch the ball that much, but you could still be on the floor.
Yeah.
And because of your defense, then that gets you reps. So I think just remember that you don't need a ball, like you don't need any on-ball reps to, put your 100% into defense and, make an impact. And so that is one of the ways you can get more reps. It's through your defense. And then because you're on the floor now, then you might get an open catch and shoot 3. You might run the lane, get a transition layup. Like you don't need to do a whole lot of like different like triple combo crossover moves to get on the floor. Like even being in Japan right now, I realize to get to the professional level, you don't have to do everything great. You can
shoot NBA, you don't have to do everything great.
You don't have to be able to dribble that well. Like obviously compared to an average Joe, you're still great in all skills, but I'm talking about like you don't need to have the ball in your hands. You don't need to even be the best passer sometimes. Like if you can do 1 or 2 things really well, like we've heard of 3 and D, be able to shoot the 3 and then play defense, space the floor, run to the corners. Like if you're in the NBA, you can make millions. Like guys make millions just doing that. Like even in Japan right now, depending on where you are, if you can just execute the coach's demands or, the rules of the team, you can get playing time. If you can play defense at a certain, if you can rebound, if you can do 1 or 2 things really well, and then basically on the floor when coach thinks, oh, we're missing that, we need that right now, then they think of you to sub in. Or they can't take you out because that's what you're providing so much value in those regards. Say it's defense, that they can't take you out. So that's what actually got me playing time before, because no one else at my position depending on the team, I would be a local player or Asian import, whatnot, could guard the other team's import.
Yeah.
That's a huge asset for many teams, because usually when a team signs an import, they're here to score. They're here to put up stats. No import is coming in and trying to play full court defense.
Facilitate the basketball.
Or even play defense, like full court. No import. I've never heard of a import like that. So
who's excited to play D?
Yeah, so if you can do that and contain or make it really hard for another team's best player, or you can even get blown by, like you just make it really hard for them. That's how my defensive journey started. Like I didn't have the perfect footwork or, and when this happens, what's the best thing to do? Like I'm just out there going dumb hard, and then that got me playing time. And so one of the most important things ultimately, if you're a basketball player, is minutes, like having the reps. Like we talk about every day, like
experience.
Yeah,
repetition,
like being in the mix, being in action. And so, just a reminder to the people out there.
Another thing I just thought of is, for advice for myself, is exposure to failure. I think early on, either we have a very negative connotation towards failing, and I would have loved to have set up different experiments or things where I could have failed and not think of failure as bad, but as just
like a better mental framework.
Just like, I'm just gaining information. Like failing's good. I mean, there's caveats to that. Like we don't want to fail because we don't do anything, we don't prepare. I'm not talking about that.
Hey mom, I heard Josh on the podcast, failing's good. So I didn't, I scored a 15 on my exam.
But losing is okay if you're putting yourself in a really challenging, to get better, to get yourself to the next level, you really have to challenge yourself. Like the body has no reason to change. Your mind, even think about lifting weights. If you lift the same weights every single time, your body has no reason to get bigger or stronger. But also the same thing, we don't go out and PR every single day either. Like we don't try to go max out lift every single time either, right? But we want to have a good challenge point. And I think I was just so afraid of failing, losing, looking bad that also I maybe put myself in situations where I was going to fail.
What do you think caused that? Was it you failed and then
I think
someone
it probably came from school.
School?
It started from school, where you're expected to get straight A's, you have to reach your potential. Anything less than an A is not your potential. Right. And so I think it probably started from there. Or just also Asian culture is a lot about mianzi, or losing face, right? Right. So if you put yourself in a scenario where you fail and everyone's duh, laughing at you, that's a lot of So yeah, I mean, part of it is genetics, probably. Part of it is culture, probably part of it was upbringing, surroundings, a lot of that. But I didn't learn that about myself till much later in life, and I felt like that deprived me of a lot of
potential learning
opportunities. I do think I inadvertently got them, like when my parents sent me to different basketball camps, and one time I went to a 5-star basketball camp in Pittsburgh, and I remember playing with some kids where I was like, I've never seen kids move like this, or I've never seen people because I was good at defense then too. I've never been like, I cannot guard this guy. He's so fast. But that kind of like opened my eyes to levels, and there were times where I'd go visit family in New York, and I would just be playing on I went to Rucker Park one time just to I wanted to see it. I just asked it, it's in Harlem. It's in Harlem, I think. Yeah, it's not in a good area, but just playing against kids there too, that gave me a lot of exposure inadvertently to failure, like getting cooked by people much better than me.
Yeah, I think I had a similar experience first time being in the States doing summer camps. I might have mentioned before, but yeah, just kids moving different, just moving different handles, change of pace. You can see stuff on videos, but until you experience it in person, try to guard them. Or I was 13 years old, I saw kids same age dunking. I was like, damn, something I need to change up what I'm doing back home. I need to start eating some different stuff or something. But then again, that just made me realize I'm not that good. Yeah. I think that's another thing.
There's levels.
There's levels to it. Early success can sometimes also be the limiting factor to long-term success, because a kid might think early on, hey, I'm good. I don't need to work like that. You don't have the same type of motivation to, keep pushing yourself, right? And you see stories all the time of people talented, from a town, whatever. Because of how good they are, they never have to build the work ethic. So going back to the subject of having no regrets, I don't regret any of it, because it's because of that gains don't stop today, sure. How I work the way I work. Because I know I'm not the most talented, but it's through, good training, good habits, every day, living healthy, that gives me the chance to become the best player I can be. And I think everyone's on their own journeys, and so you need to keep comparing to yourself. Even if you're a kid watching, you're 12, 13, especially you can see videos now, I think you should look at things with a learning mindset and less of a comparing mindset, because comparison is the thief of joy. We've heard that before, and I know for sure if I just have that mentality, I feel much better, because as long as I'm getting better myself today, tomorrow, I know what I'm doing tomorrow, I have a plan, then I'm not too worried about what someone else is doing, because I personally feel in 3 years and 5 years I'm gonna be the better player. So it's you are comparing, but at the same time you're not, to have a little peace of mind to go about your day to day, but it is still kind of competitive. I'm I'm gonna be better than this guy, and
that guy's not working.
Honestly, I see someone better than me, I'm I'm not there right now, I might not be as good right now, but I'm gonna work, and then in a few years I'm gonna take over. There is that non-comparing, but at the same time there is a little of that competitive.
I think it's impossible never to not compare. I think to summarize for you, just what you're saying is just the experimental, what you were saying is the experimenting process is just, I think a lot, especially me, when I go online, I want to know the best way to do this. And for a lot of you guys who are watching, you might see Oliver's routine or some other NBA guy or some other person you follow on Instagram, and it's not about the routine itself. It's about the process of finding kind of what works for you and what works best for your needs. And so if I were to summarize again, my top tips: one, if you're a younger kid, be more of a generalist, play a lot of sports, get exposure to a lot of things. When you develop a love for, it could be basketball or anything, and then you're ready to go, then you could start specializing. If you're a parent, don't feel FOMO that, some other kid is going to some special or has some special trainer and that you need to hire them too. If you read about a lot of players who ended up being the best, they did not specialize too early. Now, there are some caveats. We know chess, golf, certain sports that are very, where rote repetition is good, you do want to specialize early. And then the other two things that sum up my stuff is being a good problem solver is exposing yourself to different challenge. Being a good problem solver, but also exposing yourself. To become a good problem solver, you have to expose yourself to failure. And that could come in different ways, challenging yourself by playing with kids who are really, really good. But then also, if you're in another situation where you're the better kid, challenging yourself to do stuff where you're weak. So the last piece of advice is just being okay with failure, putting yourself in situations where you're going to fail, and not thinking as failure as a bad thing, but more of a learning thing.
Learning opportunity.
Yeah, learning opportunities. Like failure, the quicker you fail, the quicker you can get better and learn and do the iteration process and get better. So yeah, those would probably be like my main things if I could give advice. Like you gotta love the game. It all starts from the love. Once you love everything, the working out, the discipline, eating a lot of the setbacks, it's all good because you love it. And it's something that you look forward to do.
That's
gives
all
you opportunity.
Goes together, because if you burn out too early, you don't really have love for the game. Like to share an example, I'll have teammates that are like, if I had this amount of money, I would never touch a basketball ever again. That's not me, but there are people out there, even professionals.
A lot of professional players. There's probably players in the NBA that say that, even though they're getting paid, a good amount.
Yeah, for me, like I cannot make a single dollar. Like I would play basketball. I'm gonna play probably till like my 70s or 80s at the park. I'm gonna be that old like grandpa.
You'll be like your mom.
Yeah, like still at the park, back to the basket game, whatever. Yeah. Change up my game, but like I just love the game. And I think I'll summarize in a sec, but I feel like basketball, I realize it falls under a bigger umbrella, and that's just like improvement, like self-improvement. Like basketball is a way for me to see progress in an area of my body, of this thing we call life. And so that's why I've taken a big passion to like lifting weights as well, because it's also a form of self-improvement. That's why, I try to do certain things. Like people can attest, maybe your thing's not basketball, but it's just something you do that you can feel progress. I think that's ultimately what makes me really love basketball. And I mean, it helps that, I'm not the best player, but I've achieved some level of success or proficiency where, I can make an income off of it.
Yeah.
But I think that's ultimately what brings me joy. And then also when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about anything, it's something that
gives you purpose.
It gives me purpose. It's good for the body, especially if you're outside. You don't have to be outside, but you're moving your body. So you can do a lot of different things. I know you've taken you do jujitsu now.
Yeah.
That gives you some purpose as well, right?
Yeah.
And so I think everyone has that, and it could be basketball, it could be something else, but when you have that one thing, I think it really aligns your whole life and makes you, just lock in a little better. And so to summarize my points, first was finding a good mentor, and now you have the internet. You don't have to write a mailing letter, and hopefully
DM Oliver.
DM me. Hopefully I'm able to get back to you.
If he doesn't respond, you can slide into my DMs.
I think that's really helpful, because all the things we mentioned, having a good mentor, they'll be able to help you through it, and basically speed up your learning process, because they might have gone through that thing themselves, or like even talking to Josh when I'm going through my own stuff, he'll share something with me that helps me get through it in a better way, or just mentally be cool with what's going on. And then second thing would be, what was my second thing?
Well, why don't you think about it?
Yeah.
The mentor thing too, like if you can't get someone really in person, it's okay. Like you can find someone, like these videos, this could be a form of mentorship, because not everyone's gonna, I realize that not everyone watching this is going to be able to actually have a mentor or a coach.
That's a great point.
That believes in you or in your area, right? So there's other ways that you can do it still, though.
What we would do differently, again, I don't have any regrets. I think when you're going through your journey as well, don't have any regrets. Like just have the mentality of you don't have regrets, because everything you've experienced shaped you into who you are today. And if you're alive, you're breathing, like we have a good life, like you're watching this video, you probably have a bed, you have food to eat.
Shoot, you have internet, you got cell phone service right now.
Think about if we're born like 2,000 years ago, so we're all blessed. And I think just having the mentality that you don't have any regrets, you're doing your best every day to always have a learning mindset. You don't know everything. And then, like Josh said, experiment. Anything that we share, keep a journal. Literally write down, is this working? Did this help me? If it does, keep doing it. If it doesn't, then, don't.
Well, you could stick with it a little bit longer, try something different.
Just look deeper into it. And for me, I did a lot of that experimentation. High school, college, like all kinds of routines, health stuff. And like all of this was just to see if I could get an edge or get an advantage, to improve myself just a little bit more. That's literally why I did all of that, to get a little bit better. Gains don't stop. And so when I share something, it's because I feel like, I've given it enough time to experience and to feel like it actually does help. So when I do share something, hopefully it has a little more weight, because I'll never, like a company, like if Coca-Cola, I don't drink any processed stuff or sugar. So if Coca-Cola gave me like $10 million to be like, here's an endorsement deal, I actually wouldn't take it. Like dead ass.
Have to be 100 billion.
I might have to do that. But basically, anything that I share, it's all stuff that I believe in. Even products, partnerships, brands, and so.
And that's why brands want to be with you, and that's why people follow you, is because they can sense the authenticity. You know, that's really important.
So yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 3. We'll add some B-roll while we walk through the park. It's super nice right now.
Peak cherry blossom season in Tokyo. This is like once in a lifetime opportunity to be here. So like, subscribe, comment, whatever you guys want to hear about, hear us talk about, hear Oliver talk about, hear what me talk about. We're here to help you, be a resource for you guys. And this whole thing came out of just wanting to help our younger selves. And he's accumulated a lot of information as a player. I've accumulated a lot as a player, but also as a trainer and a coach. And we want you guys to be better than us. We don't want you guys to not have resources and that whole mentorship thing. Like, we want to be that for you guys. And so if you guys get value from this, let us know and just give us feedback. So appreciate that. So
yeah, drop a comment, questions, because we're trying to do this more frequently and keep it a little shorter. You know, it could be 40, 50 minutes. And then sometimes we'll just pick a couple questions and just talk about it.
We're both not podcasters and we're both not social media people. But this is us experimenting and being willing to fail and look stupid on camera because we want to help you. Like, that desire to help you guys is overriding any fear of being on camera, looking stupid, not saying and not being perfect. We're trying to, and this is us going through this process of improving ourselves and how we can communicate and be good teachers, especially as we age out of our prime of being players ourselves. I mean, he's still in his prime, but I'm aging out. So yeah,